Today's video, we're going to talk about whether or not you can actually get the same exact results excuse me, as your competitors if you simply just copy their results or copy their ads. You may be running a software called that could spy on your competitors' campaigns. Spyfu is one campaign type like that. Also, there is SEM Rush is another software that'll show you, at least for Google ads, the different advertisements that people are running. And so what this video is doing is explaining why, if you were to simply copy every single ad and every single keyword that they're bidding on, why you're not going to be able to get the same exact results as them just simply by copying and turning on your ads. The short of this is the results that you're getting with your ads, and the reason why you can't get the same results as your people that you see already advertising on Google search, this is because they have more data than you and they have more time behind the campaigns they run. And when I'm saying more time, not more time to optimize, but more time actually running the campaigns. The data that goes into, that's being collected through your account, that Google as well as Facebook picks up about what works and what what hasn't worked in the past, is what actually gets your results. If you've made no changes to your ads, just simply by running your ads longer than somebody else, you're going to be able to beat that other person. So with that all said, there's definitely ways to beat anybody in your market, even if they've been around longer than you. And copying someone's ads isn't a bad idea, but it's not everything that you need, basically speaking. The same thing applies for Google, Facebook, because they're both a algorithmically driven ad system, in that there's an ad serving algorithm that determines if your ad gets shown or a competitor's. And ultimately, with that goes down all the way to the individual user's level. On Google search, if somebody's searching for red shoes and you're bidding on the keyword red shoes, it's not just an on or off switch. Either show up for red shoes or you don't. No. What actually happens with Google system is they look at all the people who searched for red shoes in the past, all the demographics. Are they male? Are they female? Are they old? Are they young? Do they have high income, low income? Are they searching on the weekends, not weekends, night, day? And they look at all the patterns within the people who search for red shoes over long periods of time, even before you even get started. And they kind of know who buy and who don't buy. But whether or not somebody buys from you is different than whether or not somebody buys from a competitor also selling red shoes. So Google, and the way that they have programmed their ad system is to try to identify, do most people that fit a certain category of demographic and psychographic or type of person out there, do they normally respond better by sending them and showing your product versus the competitor's product? And then databasing whether or not, when they showed your product to a certain type of person, if it worked well, did the person buy it at a high rate or not? And then so that the next time that similar person searches, they know whether or not to show your product or a competitor's product. Or maybe no products, because that type of person never buys, and they'll just show no ads at all. And so with that, it's really just a big machine learning trial and error process that Google goes through. And as a new advertiser, Google has no data on you. They can't get you nearly the results as the big guy who's been running their ads for a while, even though you were targeting the same keywords. On Facebook, it's actually the same kind of thing. It's an algorithmically driven ad system. You could go and ultimately do what I mentioned before on this channel to find your competitors' ads. You could go ahead and start a brand new Facebook account, start searching for stuff on Facebook about your niche, wait for ads to pop up, click on an ad, then other ads like that will pop up in your niche, because once you click on one, it'll start serving you more ads. You could find other ads, their landing pages, and run a campaign. Obviously, you wouldn't be able to see the exact same targeting, even though ultimately you could copy someone's targeting, in that there's some other, you have to watch my video about how to copy someone's Facebook campaign. You're not going to be able to know everything about a person's campaign, but even if you copy everything that I tell you on my video about how to steal someone's Facebook ad campaign, or as close as much as to what you can copy from it, it's still not going to do as good as theirs if it's been running for a while. Another kind of way to kind of say, to boil all this down is the person who's able to last the longest with their ads is the person who's going to end up winning a higher percentage of the time and making most of the money. In that, most people who start advertising want to be able to make money right away. And it's just not the way that it is a lot of times in a lot of markets, competitive markets at that you can make money right away. You have to let the ad system find out what works for you before you can ever expect things to work for you real well. And the people who understand that there's a process and that they're going to go through the process, whether it takes a short time or a long time, are the people that are going to make it work, and everybody's going to be envious of longer term. And the people who don't want it to be patient ultimately, or expect or think that it should work quicker than what it actually does, are going to be a part of the 90% that end up quitting after just a few months because they think it should work right away, or they ran out of money, or whatever. So anyway, with all that said, I'm going to explain a little bit more so why all this is the way that I said that it is, what you can kind of expect in your market, and if you're starting out, and if you're copying your competitors' ads that look like it's working because you've seen the competitor advertising for a long time, on what that's actually going to be able to get for you and what you can expect out of your campaigns. So, can you copy someone's ads and end up winning in PPC on Google ads, Bing ads, Facebook ads? That's what we'll be explaining in this video. So first of all, the reason why you generally cannot get the same results as the bigger guys you see already advertising on Google ads, and that you can see that it can afford to be at the top of Google for almost every single keyword that you're green with envy about, or that you see all over Facebook, comes down to the amount of data that these people already have a leg up on you and have collected already from the time when you compare yourself just starting out to them who's already been running their ads for a long time, as I already touched on a minute ago. That basically, whoever has the more data is the person who's going to have most of the profits. The more data, the more results you get. That said though, just because that person's been advertising for 3 years and has a lot more data behind their accounts because they've spent $100,000 since they've started and you've spent nothing because you're just starting out, you can still beat them. The data alone is not everything. There's still the fundamentals there, i.e. there's two main fundamentals that you have to be able to basically get around or do or whatever if you're going to make money with ads anyway. And that is, can your ad get a click-through rate higher than the competitors in your established market, and can your landing page get a higher conversion rate than your competitors? If you do those two things, Google as well as Facebook is going to want to show your ads over that competitors because it gives their users a better experience and gets people to want to click on ads in the future. So, and with that, your rate of improvement starting out will get better quicker than them if you have that things better than them. So, if they had 3 years of basically a history behind their account, and you could only spend the same amount per month than them, given that you just can't spend more than them and therefore pick up ground on them because of that one factor alone, which would be one way to go about doing it. You could pick up the ground, the 3-year gap between them, where they started and where you're starting, simply by having that much better click-through rates on your ads because you have better ad copy, or it's better targeted, have better messaging, and go along with that, the better landing page. If your click-through rates on your ads are 3 times as good as the established competitor that you're trying to, basically steal their stuff from, and your landing page is 3 times as good, basically you could be the same position as them in 6 months because you're basically going to be able to pick up ground faster than what you would have otherwise just copying the same exact thing as them. And reality speaking, the reality is here, if you did the same exact thing as them, they are going to get, their account is going to improve while you're trying to improve your account, so they're always going to be kind of ahead of you. So you really only kind of have no choice but to try to outdo them. So with that, you can certainly absolutely 100% copy someone's ads, landing pages, all of that. But once you've done that, or if that's your starting point, which is perfectly fine, how can you do some testing to find out how to beat what they have? Not copy, but then be inspired by it and then improve and then beat what they have. And if you start out copying them with that, the first thing you do is you have an ad test to see if you can get a higher click-through rate than them. You have a landing page that you try to see if you have can get a higher conversion rate than them. And then you just never stop testing. And the more tests that you find that win, the quicker you're going to catch up to them, if you will. And respectively, even though they might be making a lot, and as long as you're not losing money, obviously you don't have to be in the same ballpark as them anyway, even though you could catch up to them completely in what they're making if you just put enough time in the testing to get something that's going to be better than them. So whereas I'm going to run my typical campaign, I'm going to look at a competitor and everything they're doing, my goal is to kick the crap out of their strategy long term as I have time to split test my ads and my landing pages so that I have something actually better than them, because that's how to really get the kind of money that they're making, given that they've already spent so much more than me, or they've got so much budget that they're so far ahead that I have an actual chance of catching up to making what they're making. Some of these people you see on Google, by the way, they may have spent a couple $1 million in ad spend by the time you even start. So how the hell are you going to catch up with them if you're going to have a half-ass, mediocre approach to try to compete with them? It's not going to really work out for you. That's where rolling up your sleeves and getting to work, and figuring out ultimately what your consumer wants from you, what do they want to see, what's going to help them make a decision on how to purchase, if they were going to buy from somebody, how they're going to be able to make it more comfortably, feel more right about doing it with you. Because if you do that, everything else is going to fall into place. You're going to have the better ad that gets a better click-through rate. You're going to have the better landing page that gets a higher conversion rate. The algorithms are going to want to promote you from Facebook and Google and charge you less money per click, which automatically raises your ROI. And you're going to eventually just win. And you're going to win quickly if you really, really get to work, given most people who advertise on Google and Bing and Facebook, even though you see that they're spending a lot of money, they've a lot of times done very, very little work on their campaigns. And most of the reason why that they are where they are is because they've just ran their campaign for a long time and they've spent enough money where it just works really well. Ultimately, you could have a shitty, I see this all the time, by the way, you could have a shitty ass account with a shitty ad and a shitty landing page. You run that sucker long enough, the algorithms are going to figure out how to place you to where it works. Especially with Google, but it's also true with Facebook, but especially with Google, if you just give the algorithm enough time to run those ads, it'll eventually figure out how to place you to where even your shitty ad and your shitty landing page works. And then once it starts working, then they can start upping their budget, and then they look like they, performed a miracle to get where they're at, where they could afford to be at the top of Google for every term. And the reality was, the guy, spent a couple hours setting up his account. They ran it for 4 years, and eventually it just rose to the top slowly but surely. And then they started raising their budget, and that's how they won. When you compare, and that's your typical person. I'm telling you, the average person does not spend much time on their ads. They don't. If they hire a PPC manager, they're lazy because they don't usually get paid very much. So they don't feel like they want to work very hard on it. That's most of the people in our industry in the PPC management space. Or they do it in-house, and their in-house person doesn't know what the hell they're doing, nor have the time to do it. So your average person that you're really competing against is someone who spends very little time on their stuff. So if you could just pick up on this channel, the stuff that's actively working from myself, having made this channel for people like you to understand what are the working strategies given from somebody who's working on a few dozen PPC accounts at any given time, doing the strategy for all those accounts, You go ahead and institute those things on your account, you're going to blow that person that you think is the top guy away just because you put the time and effort in to help the consumer, and then that all ties in with how to actually beat the competitor. So anyway, with that said, the results though you get with any new account, whether you do a lot of work up front to have a really good account, or whether you just copied the competitor and then you're going to do testing after that, like I mentioned, the results you get 6 months after starting is often going to be 20%, only 20% of what you have in terms of results. And when I say results, I mean ROI basically, or ROAS if you want to call that as an industry term. You can use ROAS by year 5 because of this fact of the ad algorithms eventually split testing the people that are going to see your ad and getting better and better at it with the more data that they pick up about what works and what doesn't work. That whatever results you get in month 6, if you made no changes to what you have at all, by year 5 it would be 5 times more profitable than it is at the 6-month point. On top of that, the results that you get for month 1 is typically going to only be 20% of what you're going to have by month 6. So in other words, what you start out with in the account is going to be 20% of the results you're going to get by month 6, but month 6 results is going to be about 20% of the results you're going to have by year 5. So the results compound and keep compounding the longer you run your ads. You could speed the rate in which you're going to get the theoretical maximum potential you can get in your market with PPC on that channel, of whether it's Google or Facebook, but you could speed up that process doing the split testing and trying to physically have the better ad and the better landing page than anybody else. Or you could just have a shitty ad and shitty landing page, and through the test of time of just running it longer than anybody else, you can also win. Or you could do both and, make way more than anybody else, technically. Obviously, the people that have been running it for a long time, they're usually making money, so they had to have somewhat of a good ad. But even, I'm telling you, I've seen hundreds and hundreds of ad accounts at our agency over the last 10 years. There's people who run ads that do not make money, but they don't have conversion tracking set up, so they don't even know they're losing money. So, first of all, don't be careful who you copy. If you have no understanding of what an ad that's good looks like, I would hire somebody that can kind of tell you that before you just copy that any random old person. But typically speaking, yes, they've been running their ads for a long time, and they're working okay, so to say, as they think, so they just keep running them. A lot of these people don't even have a good strategy. So they have a lot of time behind their account, in other words, but their strategy's shitty, and even though the ad's been running for a long time, they still don't make money because their strategy was so shitty to begin with. So it doesn't take that much to become the number 1 player in your market, in your niche, on Google, Bing, Facebook, if you just put time in the strategy to get the results. But just know, regardless of how good of or how much work you put in, or if you copy that perfect person that had the best strategy, and then you put work on top of that in terms of testing to have the even better strategy, it's still going to take time for your ads to get the full theoretical potential out of it. Your goal is to set it up good enough so you get to profitability. Where's that break-even point where the ads are paying for themselves after all your product or service expenses in terms of delivering the product or service and so forth? So that, because at that point, it's all a downhill slide. You can let the ad account run for the next 10 years because whatever money you make is financing the ads. There's no cost to your business. So it's just a waiting game at that point of where you're going to make the big money. You eventually run the ads long enough, they're going to make more money, and you didn't have to necessarily do anything more to get it. So anyway, for this phenomena, if you will, about how the ad algorithm needs data to see how to run your ads effectively, and that's what powers most of the results in your Google and Facebook account, if you will, even more powerful than the ad and the landing page and strategy you use. You could have the same exact ad account as your competitor. You literally copied every single thing identical. Launch it, and you would have basically 2% of the results of the guy that's been running the same exact thing in their account for 5 years already with a $3,000 a month budget or something like that, or higher budget, or what, you get the general idea. The more you spend per month, the quicker and the less time it's going to take for them, the maximum results you could get in your market, because really it's not time, it's money based. Money based being you get more clicks, and it takes so many clicks for Google and Facebook to know how to place your ad. So really it's about the more clicks you get, the better your results are going to get through the trial and error process of seeing what people that clicked, was it your ad good for or wasn't good for. So in the first time, basically, and I mentioned 2% because if you do the math here, or 2 to 5%, if you take 20% of 20%, right, that's actually 4% is the math. So we want to say 4%. What you have day one is going to be 4% of what you're going to have year 5. So when you launch your campaign, you can't go in thinking, oh, it's not working very well, this sucks, Google Ads doesn't work. No, you just haven't been running it long enough yet. Eventually it's going to work because I know I'm going to have 20 times the results that I have right now after I let this run long enough. I'm going to keep at this, even though I'm losing money right now. I want to try to see how quickly we can get it to where we're at least not losing money in terms of the profit or profit margin. And then we're going to stick, because once I do, it'll work on its own and it'll eventually make a lot of money for us. And when it eventually does pay off, and it is making really good money in year 5 or whatever I'm making in year 5 in 1 week or 1 month will pay off whatever I had to lose to get it up and off the ground and to the break-even point initially. So, but the first time I knew that this was the case, we had somebody in the printer toner space. I mentioned this on my last video. Printer toner, like you have a laser printer, you have to get the toner cartridges. That's what, laser, certain printers use ink, the laser printers use printer toner. And then you put the cartridge inside the printer, and when it's empty, you have to replace the cartridge. Well, we had an account that sold those. And this account was running for basically about 10 years already. The guy wanted to start up a second account to try to dominate the space. So we exported everything from their account using Google Ads Editor. Google AdWords Editor at the time is what it was called then. Same program, different name. Imported it to the new account, and then I, kept getting chewed. And this is very common here. When I tell people it'll get better if you just give it time. People always want to just sometimes ground me into like a fine pace. Why isn't it making money already, Corey? Why isn't it working faster? You competitors have all this data behind their campaigns, allowing them to pay $2 per click and make money because they're only paying for the clicks that are profitable because the algorithm figured out the exact people that work for their product. You can't expect to compete with them head to head immediately, at least, until you've gotten on an even playing field with them in terms of how much data that your accounts have acquired. But anyway, in this toner cartridge space, the results weren't even profitable until the first 6 months. And then after that, it slowly, started to pick up. But comparing an account that was running 10 years and thinking you're going to be all clever and, I'm going to have 2 ads show up on Google because I'm making so much money with my first account, and then I'm going to do this, and I'm going to, the second account, I'm making $5 million a year off this account. I do another account, I can make $10 million a year. It's not going to happen. The reality is, that $10 million a year account, you're going to have to spend, a couple $100,000, let's just say, or $100,000 on the second account just to get it to where it even stops. It's not losing money for the first 6 months. And then the 6 months after that, it's just basically you're working for free. And then the 6 months after that, you're making a little bit of money. And then it's all proportional, basically. Have the same exact ads to a T. New account performs like shit for a long time. And respectively, doesn't perform as good as the original account until that account has had the same 10 years to run the ads at the same budget than the first account did. So yeah, I always kind of knew that the algorithm, that what your results are affected by how much money you've put into the ad spend already to collect data about finding the exact type of demographic of people that should be seeing and clicking on your ads versus the ones that don't. But seeing for myself the exact, and I mean literally the exact same settings that we spent 10 years optimizing these ads in a brand new account, results were absolute garbage compared to the other account that's already had 10 years with the account data and several $1 million of ad spend in the account since we started. That was the only difference, and that was the only difference it took to make a pile of money on one account and losing money completely on the other. So, and 4% is about pretty accurate. You can assume you had an account that was running 10 years or 5 to 10 years, and you've been optimizing it the whole time, you did a new account with the same ads, you're going to make 20 times less, or basically 4% of what the first core account made or is making on that new account if you were going to try something similarly. So with this, you can just kind of put this to answer the question, can you get the same results copying someone else's ads? The answer is no, not at least for a while. It's a good place to get you started, but you're still going to have to go through the growing pains of having to get the data in your account to figure out how to run the ads. You would think that Google, if you had the same keywords in one account, they would be able to use that data to figure out how another account with the same keywords could perform. But going back to what I was saying before, every site's different. So one person's going to like a site with blue color scheme. Another person's going to like a site with a red color scheme. And they're not going to know that, and they know they aren't going to know that until they've tested every site individually for a long time to find the exact profile of person who likes your site design and products and prices versus, or if it's a service, same thing, versus another company. So they can't borrow or use the data from one site to apply it to another site. Not only that, I don't think they even care to. They want to independently figure out on an individual site basis which people should be seeing those ads, and they don't even try to borrow the data from another site. Why? Because it's clear when you start the ads out, when you copy the same ads from one account to the other, the results are so much different that they're not even trying to do that. Not to mention, by the way, if I were Google, I wouldn't want the new advertisers to be able to suck away all the clicks from the new or the old established advertisers, because the old established advertisers aren't going anywhere. The new guy, even if it does work okay, we don't know if that's a good operator. Can they even do their business properly? Do they even get good reviews? We don't know yet. Do they, even if we got them sales, can they manage their money to the point where they're going to be around 3 months from now? We don't know that. The average person that is in business, we know already 80% of those businesses are going to be gone in 5 years. So they want to pretty much kind of like put you through the ringer, so to say, starting out. Not so much that nobody would enter, but just to see, like a weeding out process. Are you serious? Are you willing to put some money into this? Are you willing to work at this to get to where you can be like the top guys making all the money? And most people aren't going to make it. Most people don't want to make it, and they don't have what it takes. So, and for that, you're the guy that's been spending with you for 10 years that that can do well, not rip off the people that they're sending to you and so forth. They don't have to worry about their customers constantly potentially being poached by the constant churn of new people coming in thinking they see the top guy and thinking it looked easy and trying to come in and take it away from them. So as you get to be the top guy, you're not going to have to worry about these little people nipping at your heels too much, because Google's not going to promote them real strongly, and they don't promote them real strongly until they've been around for a little while, respectively. The big guys that's been around will get the better quality traffic that's around. They'll give that to them. And it's partially why the ads also get more profitable the longer you've been around, because you get a higher percentage of the good quality traffic, whereas when you're starting out, you get a more lower quality traffic. That's part of the reason why the results are not as good. We know this, by the way, because on non-e-commerce accounts, where the landing page is, when it's similar quality to another landing page that a competitor is running, the results on those ads, when we know what the results on that other landing page are getting, aren't as good. Same keywords. So the only explanation that would explain why that would be the case is that Google is sending a different stream quality, traffic stream quality to the new campaign and landing page than what we're getting with an established campaign and landing page, which is the way that we want it, because eventually when you get to be established, you don't have to worry about the quality traffic that is powering your campaign at any given point. That's not going to be pilfered away constantly by these new people that are coming in and out. And it puts a moat around your business so other people can't come at you as easily. You're not going to have any real competitors unless they have a lot of fortitude to really go at it, lose money up first, keep working anyway, and eventually stay with it like their life depended on it. And then the 1 out of 10 that make it through all that, then that's your actual competitor. So other things to mention here, by the way, e-commerce sites, it tends to take about 3 times as long as non-e-commerce sites, i.e. sites that do like lead generation, that are trying to get phone calls or contact form fills only. It takes 3 times as long to build up the data history in that account to get good results in e-commerce than non-e-commerce. And the big reason for that is, in e-commerce, it's a little bit, you're competing with people at a different level. Local service businesses and the like who aren't doing e-commerce, they don't know what the hell they're doing half the time, and they don't have conversion tracking set up. Without the conversion tracking, the algorithm doesn't understand how to run your ads nearly as good as if you have the conversion tracking. So if you just come in with the conversion tracking set up right, you could get a lot of traction on people in a hurry. Whereas in the e-commerce space, most of those businesses at least understand how to set up conversion tracking. So then if you're coming in with conversion tracking, there's not as much of a competitive advantage on the strategy side than somebody else. And of course, the ability for Google to run your ad, to figure out how to run your ads and give you the better quality traffic, because of course, the other site's already got that, so it understands how to send the good traffic to the other guys, and it's already kind of taken, if you will, at that point. So this is something else to consider, where I can usually, for a non-e-commerce site, kind of get most of what the possible results are going to be for a non-e-commerce site in about 18 months to 3 years, whereas the theoretical maximum on an e-commerce is going to be like 5 to 10 years. And you can usually get non-e-commerce to be profitable, decently profitable already in 3 to 6 months, whereas in e-commerce it can take 1 to 2 years. So when I say decently profitable, I mean making okay money, not like breaking even. The break-even point on a non-e-commerce campaign is usually going to be like 3 months. On an e-commerce, is generally going to be between 6 and 12 months for like the break-even point on it. So a lot of people don't like hearing that, but it is what it is, because like I said, Google doesn't send you the good quality traffic until you've been around for a little while, and you got to expect that Google doesn't know how to send you the perfect person who likes your style of product or service on your site and the site design and all these other things until they've sent some traffic at your site. And just a few clicks ain't going to be good enough. They're going to need a few thousand clicks. The higher the cost per click in your market, the harder and the longer it will take, because you have less clicks coming to your site per dollar spent. On the same $3,000 budget, when your clicks are usually costing you $1, you can get a lot of data real quick. If your cost per click is $30 a click, like it is in a lot of markets, it's going to take you a long ass time, because you're only going to get 100 clicks a month at that point. It might take you a year and a half just to build up a decent flow of get a decent set of performance. So it might take you a while to get a decent set of performance in that. So anyway, if you're going to use a software like Spyfu or SEM Rush to copy the client's campaigns, you should do it mainly for the ideas, not understanding that we're going to simply get the same results as them. Because frankly, if we could get the same results as our competitor just by copying their ads off SEM Rush or Spyfu, everybody else in our niche would have thought of it already. You have to put it into perspective. Anything that's easy to do isn't worth shit, particularly in marketing, unless you get creative and find something and are clever and find something that doesn't, other people haven't thought of. But like when everybody knows what Google Ads is, if it were easy already to do whatever it is that you're trying to do to win, it would obviously be not worth shit. So you got to be able to invest more, go at it harder, something. So, but like I said, particularly if you aren't, if you're new to PPC, copying the competitors' campaigns on SEM Rush or Spyfu for search campaigns, that's a great starting point, like I said. But you're going to have to test beyond that to really beat your competition, to really have your edge on them, because you need that edge to generally do really well, and in a shorter time frame, given that they probably have been advertising a long time to get where they're at. If you don't want to wait so long, then you need to do some split testing to get a better strategy than them, and then that'll cut down the time it takes for you to hit the break-even point and to get the decently good results. So if you don't want to go bankrupt, if you're copying the client's campaigns using SEM Rush or Spyfu, and you don't want to go bankrupt before you get to the break-even point on your campaigns, then you just need to put in more work than that competitor that you're copying, so it's profitable faster than theirs was. Theirs might have took 6 months to be profitable. If you do more with your testing up front and you get a better ad than them because you tested your ad and beat the ad that you started out with, which was your competitors that you used, and you did that with your landing page as well, tested your landing page, then instead of taking 6 months to where that campaign was paying for itself, it hit the break-even point, you might be able to do it in 3 months. And so if you only have so much funds, that can be the one thing that gets your campaign to work before you run out of money or not. For you guys to have more money, you can either understand that it's going to take a long time, or you could more heavily and more effectively set up your testing to try to beat the person who you're copying's results that they have already on their campaigns. And of course, when I say better, that means hiring somebody who understands how to do split testing, like myself or somebody like myself who understands how to make landing pages if you're doing landing page testing, or ad copywriting if you're doing ad testing. And instead of testing random stuff, find the best possible person you can who understands that stuff, and then use those ideas to do your testing. Because obviously tests that don't win, you're better off spending more money for the expert to tell you how to do a test that wins than picking somebody that's cheap and then wasting your money on tests that just don't win. It's never going to be, I say this all the time, you're never going to be better off hiring a cheap discount PPC person, because good PPC services and consultants pay for themselves many times over, much more so. People that aren't competent at PPC cost you money because they usually do stuff that doesn't work, or the stuff that they do that does work balances out with the stuff that doesn't work, and it's a wash anyway. So anyway, with all that said, you'll start, and here's the main key tip I could give you guys starting out or that want to copy the competitor, again, as a starting point. Because you know it's going to take some time, if you take my advice, copy the competitor that you see on Spyfu or Semrush, or that you found their ad using my Facebook copying method on this channel. Okay? Because you know it's going to take you some time to split test your ad, split test your landing page, so that the algorithms prefer you and you have a better strategy, and you get a higher ROI by having a higher click-through rate and having a higher conversion rate on your landing page or site. But regardless, it's going to take time to find the higher click-through rate, the higher landing page conversion rate. Start with what you can afford to lose. Okay? You know, starting out the campaign, because it has no data and you need time to test to improve what you have that the competitor had that you stole, if you will. It's going to take a few months before your campaign's at the break-even point where it's paying for itself. And you know that because you watched this video. So what can you afford to lose starting out? Can you afford to lose $1,000 a month to where you could take $1,000, start it on fire, and you wouldn't hardly miss it? your business is profitable enough you can do that, okay. Put $1,000 into the ad campaign and keep putting $1,000 in per month until the campaign's profitable. Whether that's in month 2 or month 6 or month 9 or month 12, whatever it takes. You know if you run your ads long enough, it's going to become profitable just because the campaigns are going to get better, because the algorithms are going to sniff out where to run your ads that will actually get you the right type of person or people, and you're going to start making money. So where people go wrong is they start out with, I have people that come to my firm all the time, Corey, I want to spend $10,000 a month on this campaign. And I say, the campaigns aren't going to be profitable right away. You're better off starting out with a $3,000 budget and letting us run that $3,000 budget until it's profitable, then scale the ad spend up, then start with this really high ad spend, and because it's not working right away, you say, I can't afford to keep going, and panic, and then bail out because you're bleeding $10,000 a month until it starts working. So, in other words, pick a number you can afford to lose per month that you know you could last for 2 years losing this money, and you wouldn't be able to, and you wouldn't start panicking at any point. You would stick with it because in your mind it's going to work eventually, and I'm not going to stop at this because I know the payoff is going to be so big at the end of this. The little bit of money I'm investing now is absolutely nothing, and it is. If you're going to stick with do your testing and make sure you have the better ad and the better landing page, you will make money. If your competitor's doing it and they're making any kind of money, you're going to make money. It's just a matter of when. Of course, if your competitor you're copying isn't making money, that's a little different story, but if there's multiple people advertising in your space, somebody's making money, and respectively, if you stick with it long enough, it'll just make money. But you get the general idea of what I'm saying here. Don't invest so much that if it doesn't work by month 3, I'm stopping because fuck this. Because that's the people, the 9 out of 10 people who don't stay around and ever make money from it are the people who overinvest what they can't afford to lose up front because they, ultimately, they're overconfident, we'll just say. And then they're overconfident in the beginning, and then as they get into it and it's not making money right away, they're underconfident and they panic and then they bolt. You got to be able to have rock solid confidence going into this that it's eventually going to work. And no matter what, it's going to make money. It's just a matter of when. And if you go in with that attitude, you'll be the 10% who ends up making millions off of your ads long term. You just aren't going to expect it immediately because the people, the dumbasses basically that are quitting right away, they think it should work immediately. And that's not how it works. So, and if it did work right away, again, somebody else would have done it already. There would be no opportunity there. Anything that's that easy isn't worth anything. So now if you do, I will say though, that all said, the lower of money you spend per month on your ad budget as you're initially ramping it up, the longer it will actually take for you to get the results. Because it's not a spend based, it's a clicks based. So if you are able to spend $3,000 versus $10,000, it'll take you can get data built up in 1 month with $10,000 that it would have took 3 months to build up, or 3 1/3 months to build up with the $3,000 a month budget. But you can only afford to lose so much in your business. There's only so much profit you're making in your business right now. There's only so much you can dedicate to a losing PPC campaign in the beginning. And if you're making, $10 grand a month in your business right now, I would say, basically put $3,000 into the PPC and with that, stick with it till it works. Don't put the $10,000 because you're not going to have to panic at any point doing that. Yes, it's going to take 3 times as long to initially get to break even, but at least you're not going to be halfway in and panicking and losing sleep over it. And potentially bailing out because your emotions start taking over your mind, which I see this all the time, people doing. And it just takes a little bit longer. That's all it is. You don't have enough money, it takes a little bit longer, but a certain percentage of what your profits you're going to invest into the ad spend until it starts working, and that's the proper way to go about doing it. If you can only afford 1,000, it takes 1,000. It might take, 10 months to get working because the 1,000 in ad spend is not very much data flowing into your account at any given point. But yeah, at least you're safe. You're not going to run out of money. You're not going to have to stop. Because once you stop, all that money you spent up to that point was absolutely fucking wasted. If you actually, by the way, stop at some point and you try to come back 6 months or 3 months from now, once you've built up a war chest again, once you've stopped your ads for at least a couple months, the algorithm's going to almost pretty much go back to where it was in the beginning. It's going to say, this account's one of the amateurs, don't focus on it, and it's going to forget where it was. Maybe not completely, but practically all of everything they learned up to that point about your account is going to go away. So therefore, it makes no sense whatsoever to overextend yourself to the point where at any point you're going to have to stop because you didn't quite get the results you thought you should get sooner. So, and then obviously with that, you got to make sure your tracking is set up before you start. There's all kinds of people I see get excited about Google Ads. Oh, this is going to be so easy. I'm going to put my credit card in here and I'm instantly rich. And then they skip all the effort to even at least copy your competitors' campaigns, but more importantly, not do the tracking setup. Without the tracking setup, your clock has not started on the time it was going to take for your account to build up enough data to get the results that you need to get or should get. So, and then basically what happens is they get 3 months into it, they say, oh, I didn't get enough sales, and which they don't even really know because their bank account didn't seem to grow in that 3 months, so they think it didn't work, which it certainly could have worked, but they don't even know because they're not tracking it. So how the hell are you supposed to know just by looking at your bank account? That's not going to work on starting out on a small scale basis most of the time. Sometimes it will, but then you stop. As opposed to if you start out with your tracking working from day one. If you get 3 months in, you've at least built up 3 months worth of account data, and if you got half the results you needed to be profitable, you could simply look at the account and instead of just waiting on Google's algorithm or Facebook's algorithm to weed out the traffic you don't need, you can go through and weed out some stuff so you get to profitability quicker. So on Facebook even, you can look through the day parting, see what the results were by hour throughout the day. A lot of times with that, you can find overnight the results are shitty. You right away weed out the overnight. The results on your ROI on your campaign now doubles. Now you got profitability. But without the tracking, how the hell are you going to be able to do that at 3 months in? So just don't be the person that gets 3 months into it and have nothing to show for it. Because if you didn't get the results you wanted and it's profitable, and it's profitable, you literally have wasted all your money and your time. Versus you got something you can work with to refine that it will work and built up 3 months worth of history, given that maybe it only takes another 3 months after that, given the history you built up in that time, to get where you want. Versus having to start completely at the drawing board again, and more likely you just give up on it altogether and never got the multi-million-dollar a year producing campaign you could have got if you just went in with the right approach to begin with. So I'll wrap it up with that. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. I've got a lot of other videos on this channel about other PPC money-making strategies that'll help you literally make millions at PPC if you want to. I manage several dozen PPC campaigns at any one time for our clients at our PPC agency. This is all we do here. With that, and with the information that we learn from the testing that we do, we tell you exactly what works and what doesn't with PPC to make you money. Therefore, it's the best information you're going to basically find on YouTube on how to make money with PPC. Most of these channels you find, these people aren't managing a few dozen campaigns. Very, very rare is anybody going to be in that position. As far as I know, there's nobody that I know on YouTube that's in the position where we're managing several dozen campaigns. And when we find something that works, we're telling you what it is on this channel. Therefore, if you want to learn how to make money with PPC, you have to subscribe to this channel. So, and I also, by the way, have a blog at guaranteeppc.com/blog where you can find more from me, which I have the how-to information on how to build PPC campaigns, the way that I build them for our clients to literally guarantee their results. So If you want to know on a more step-by-step basis how to build great campaigns, you can find excellent information from there from me as well if you go there. If you have any questions about anything I covered today, leave me a comment below. I get back to every single person who leaves me a comment on this channel, usually within a couple days' time. You can ask any question about PPC if you'd like. I'll still probably get back to you with a half-decent answer, even still. As a final note, I want to mention that I have a brand new PPC program at our firm where we're offering turnkey PPC campaigns. And yes, I did mention on this particular video today that you can't copy results from one campaign to another campaign and get the same results. As I mentioned before, that if you try to copy someone's results, if you copy the guy who's not profitable, you are going to waste a ton of money. What we have here at our PPC firm is we have campaigns that we've gotten results thereof, and what we've done is if you're in a non-competing geographic market that's not competing in the same market as our client or a past client, we can tell you what results we got in that market with our campaigns, and you can literally lease those results from us by taking the exact ad templates and everything that we used in that market and apply them to your business and your market and get those same results after enough time has passed. And most of the time after a few months it's profitable already, and then it's just paying for itself, and then it'll get more profitable. But you're starting with the campaign that you know once it's up and going will make you a pile of money. And opposed to hiring a PPC service, why not just get the templates of what's working already at the very least? It's a heck of a lot cheaper. This is great for starting a new business because we've had people, the reason why we even started this program was some people that we basically came across doing business with, whatever, wanted to start a new business in another market, used one of our campaign templates, set up a website, used our template on the website, outsourced the work to another person in their market, have passive income coming in from it. So if you're looking to start a new business, this is a great way to start it and have mostly a passive income business from it. So we may have results in your market already, and if not, maybe if you want to start a new business, you could start with a campaign that already works and get way ahead of the game. Anyway, if you're interested in that type of thing, to know what results, what campaigns, what markets we have results in and how much, and if we, of course, have a campaign in your market already that you're trying to deal with, reach out to us. We'll let you know what we have, what results we get in those markets. But I'll wrap everything up with that. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. Hopefully you learned a lot. And I hope to see you on my next one where we have another great PPC strategy for you there. See you later.